Welcome to episode 10 of The Brown Couch. I'm your host, Smith.
I'm Sal.
And today we have a guest, our first official guest, Seoul,
Hi, I'm Seoul.
a local entrepreneur. And tell us about you a little bit.
So my name is Seoul, and I started the K-pop Dance Association here in Columbus, Ohio. We've currently stretched out to Cincinnati and Cleveland as well. So K-pop is kind of like a really growing market here in the United States and actually globally. Right. But in Ohio, there really isn't many opportunities outside of college to pursue K-pop dancing. So I wanted to give people something that was out of college to continue to follow their passions for K-pop dance. So that's what I do.
No, that's pretty smart because I feel like, I haven't seen like K-pop classes much.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen like it's very I probably learned about it through him, and I've seen like a lot of folks listen to it like worldwide.
Yeah, it's gotten really big, but like, the reason why maybe you haven't seen K-pop as a style of dance offered anywhere is because it really is primarily in the universities. So you could join organizations that do K-pop dance, and they sometimes do workshops or things like that. But if you're not a student, you can't really go in, you can't really participate. And then when you graduate, it's kind of like bittersweet because one, you graduated, so you're like, thank God, no more debt being accumulated. But you know that you're going to go into working, and that's the end of K-pop for you. So that was my truth. Luckily I had made friends while I was in university that they graduated and they didn't leave the state, and we were able to continue dancing together. But for most people, that was it. After college, that's all there was. And I was like, well, what if it didn't have to be?
Yeah.
So speaking of OSU, I know that you were part of a group called J2K there, but like what was going on before J2K? Like what got you really into like dancing?
So I used to do contemporary and jazz. That was like my passion. I've always liked to dance. Unfortunately, I had hurt myself. I broke my neck. I know. I didn't even break my neck dancing. I was brushing my teeth and listening to Michael Jackson's Beat It. So I like to listen to a song when I brush my teeth because then I know I brush for a full 3 minutes.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to look up the runtime of that song.
It's going in people listen to music in the bathroom.
Yes. So I used to do it when I brush my teeth, so I know I really get them pearly whites. But I was listening to Michael Jackson's Beat It, and I was like, beat it, and my ear hit my shoulder without picking my shoulder up. I would just snap, crackle, and pop. And so I was in a cast for months.
Wait, what happened?
And my ear hit my shoulder, but without picking my shoulder up. All the way, crack.
And this was like you trying to dance?
Yeah.
So you broke your own neck.
I broke my own neck brushing my teeth in my bathroom to Michael Jackson. Yeah.
I mean, it's not funny.
But
oh my God.
But it's funny. I can't ever listen to that song again because I remember hearing the sound of my neck breaking. Like when it's like, they told you, don't you ever come around here. I'm just like, crack.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So what happened? Did your parents find you?
Yeah. So I fell, obviously, and I started smacking the floor, and then my mom came up and she was like, okay, we'll take you to a chiropractor. She didn't want to take me to the emergency room because she's like, you're being dramatic. So she took me to the chiropractor, drove me herself, even though you shouldn't move a person.
Yeah.
And the chiropractor's like, oh my God, call 911. And he did. And I couldn't open my jaw because I broke my neck. So when they had to do the x-ray, they had to pry my jaw open, and all the foam from brushing my teeth, like the toothpaste and all that, came out. And the nurse was like, ugh. And I was like, girl, what? So yeah, I was in a cast for 8 months, and then I was in physical therapy for a year. I remember you use your neck for everything. Yeah. So getting out of bed, what my parents did is they got a second mattress and they put it on the floor. So when I needed to get out of bed, I'd roll off my bed onto the mattress, onto the floor, and then onto the floor.
Oh my God.
And my brothers used to take shifts taking care of me, so they would hear slam, do 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 do. That's me slapping the floor. And my brother Jacob would be like, ugh, I'll be right back. I have to go help my sister piss.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That sounds
wild.
awful.
I gotta go squeeze my sister till she pisses. Like, it's fine. But yeah, because of that, I was not able to dance anymore. It affected my flexibility. It affected my balance, and you need a lot of balance to do certain things in contemporary, like spotting. So I used to be able to turn, and I can't. So I got like really depressed, and I was like, man, I can't dance anymore. But I was like, you know what? Maybe I can dance. I'm just stiff now. And stiff means hip hop. That's what I thought. And so I went into hip hop, which got me into K-pop, because that's mainly just hip hop and jazz, but to Korean music. So it reignited my passion for dance. Like I was not going to give up just because now I'm broken.
No, that's pretty cool.
So that's when I started doing hip hop, and I wanted to do K-pop. And I had 3 friends who were starting an organization for K-pop dancing called J2K. And that's the biggest, if anybody goes to OSU, check them out. It's a organization that does K-pop dancing, and everybody's welcome, any skill level, and it's a really good time. So I'm happy to say that I was a part of that first generation of J2K, and they're much bigger now, and they dance much better than we did. Like, they're just amazing. And then I joined QOA, which is OSU has an official K-pop boy dance group.
Okay.
And then they started an official K-pop girl dance group. So I was the first generation of that as well. She old. So yeah, and both of those things still currently exist. They both are thriving. And that was 2014. So it's been like 9 years, and they're still going strong. So I'm happy I was able to be the first part of all of that. But afterwards there's nothing. I was in a group called CMB with Zell, and that allowed me to dance. But I always felt for all my friends that graduated too, and they're like, yeah, I used to dance, and now I just work in an office.
Yo, yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, J2K, they are a fantastic group.
Amazing.
I've worked with them before.
Yeah.
They make you feel super welcome, and it's all just about having a good time and dancing and just yeah, they're really nice. Well, I don't know about any of them now, but when the era that I was in, which was I guess
2014, 2015, around that time.
They're really nice.
So nice. I have kept up to date like with their current like e-board. The structure that my friends created in the first generation was so good. It has been now for J2K, I think it's been 10 years that they've been doing this. It's amazing. The current people who are on e-board are super friendly, super welcoming, and I can say with confidence, I think they have over like 100 members in J2K. So if you go to OSU and you're looking to do K-pop or even sometimes J-pop, check out J2K because they are just so friendly.
Wait, I didn't even know about J-pop. Is J-pop like Japanese?
Yeah. So they predominantly, as far as I recall, they do K-pop, but they do a Japanese Spring Festival every year. So I know they also go into like Japanese covers as well. They're amazing. And then Queen of Aces QOA that I was in is not an all-inclusive group. It's a group you have to audition for, and they have solid members. So if you want to be a part of a team where the covers don't always change and you get to be with the same people on repeat and feel like a real like exclusive team, then if you're identify as female, you go for QOA, that's the girl one. And if you identify as male, you go for T-pop, that's the boy one. So there's an all-inclusive K-pop community at OSU, and then there's 2 exclusive groups if that's more your speed.
Okay.
I think you should audition for T-pop.
You should.
You got the looks, brother.
You do got the look.
Hey.
T-pop is for the girls.
No, for the boys.
Queen
T-pop
of
is
Aces is for the girls. T-pop is for the...
for the boys.
you coming at me like that?
Yeah, and T-pop stands for Top Pride of Korea, but you do not need to be Korean to be in T-pop. You just have to take pride in the Korean culture. So
To be fair, he's Asian.
T-pop.
QOA.
QOA.
QOA, yeah.
Right? Queen of Faces?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And
And
J,
K-pop.
J2K.
And J2K.
Yeah, J2K,
Okay.
QOA, and T-Pop.
No.
No, hold on.
QOA,
QOA.
J2K,
J2K.
T-pop.
T-pop.
Yes,
Oh,
correct.
just these three.
Three.
What they do is K-pop and J-pop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Those are the ones I'm aware of. I wouldn't be surprised if more have come around, but I can only vouch for the ones that I know of. And I was in two of the three. I was not a part of T-pop. And I can say it's a really fun time.
Girl, anything but the C-pop.
What's that? You can't just be
Chinese.
dropping letters out here,
Chinese
bro.
pop.
We're just speaking hieroglyphics at you.
Look.
We're like, yeah, and then 4ZQ Batman symbol. And he's like, what is happening? But no.
So 2014,
Yeah.
you were in QOA, right?
Yes.
And that's where I met you.
Yeah.
I went to Seoul performing in her group, and I didn't know much about her. It was like the other members in my group that were like, oh, like blah, 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 blah. Actually, I have no idea what happened with that. But I still have the video. The first time that I saw her, she did was it a tiara song?
Yeah.
You were dancing with Chair.
We were dancing on chairs,
Yeah.
the tiara. It was actually the year right before QOAs. I officially joined you guys in 2013. And it was a blast. So they saw me dance, but I had known of them for a while now. They're a group of four, and they were called CMB. If you want to remember that, it's like some of the letters of Columbus, if that helps.
Columbus Musical Bash. Just kidding. We never had it.
Oh, okay.
I was unaware of there being any sort of meaning to it, but
Oh, okay. Are you allowed to curse?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, CMB, I was told multiple times by the members, doesn't actually stand for anything, so they keep changing jokingly what it stood for. But one of our haters said that it stood for cunt munching bitches.
Ah.
And ever since then, I was like, that's what it is.
oh,
That's what it is.
she's Australian now.
Yes.
You.
Cunt munching bitches. And I was like, you know what? But you are what you eat. Pussy, pussy, pussy.
Meow, meow, meow.
So I was like, that's great. I think you just found what we stand for. But no, CMB was like my favorite group I've ever been in of all time.
Yep.
For me, it tops J2K, QOA, T-Pop. I haven't even been in T-Pop, and I know it would top that because we were such good friends that to date, I would trust every single member of this group more than anybody else I've ever met. So we were a total of 5, which was me, my brother, Zell, our friend Leader, and our friend Jinky. And we stayed as that unit of 5 for at least, 6 years?
It was like the longest lineup.
The longest lineup. Because every group has what I like to call their cemetery. Like the members that have passed their dancer cemetery. So like you have groups and some people quit. It could be scheduling. It could be they hate you. They hate your cat. They hate your mama.
They shave their head.
Yeah, it could be anything. So the members come and go. But like we were this group of 5, and I think we were the longest 5 members of CMB, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were there for 6-7 years. And when you get to know each other, it's to the point where we were different heights. I call Leader and Zell the trees because they are 6'4".
Now I am, yeah.
Girl.
I
Yeah.
mean-
On Grinder, he's 6'6". So,
Oh, I'm over. Okay.
work. So even with them being so big and I'm basically just a Keebler elf, we were able to dance similarly without even having to think about it because we had been around each other for so long. That I'm talking about all shapes, all sizes, all 5 of us move the same.
Yeah, it got to the point where if we played a song that we didn't know, yeah, it wasn't a perfect.
We knew how we would
but
freestyle
the
it.
formations were,
Yeah.
it would just be okay, now you're in the front. Now we all stand here without rehearsing it. at
Without
all.
rehearsing it, we knew what we
And
would
it was just
freestyle. We knew whose part would be what.
Yeah.
We would pick a dance we'd like to do, and without even talking about it, we knew who Rick was gonna be, who I was gonna be. We just knew.
Yeah.
So
We did some live performances. We shot music videos, and it was a really fun time.
oh yeah,
Which year was this?
it was I was in it from 2014 till I moved, which was Man, when did I move? When did I move?
It had to be before 17 and 16. Did you do? No. Did you move 2015?
2018.
Oh, yeah. 2018.
And I was there in 2013, I think I joined, or 2013 or 2012.
It had to be I don't know. But all I know is I did 2018 the worst.
I've had Leader saved in my phone since 2012 as Leader OhioCon.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to guess maybe 2012 I joined, and then I left in 2018. So I was in CMB then, oh my God, 10 years is sounding a lot. I've known you guys that long. I've been dancing with you for 6 years or so.
Yeah.
And my brother joined 1 year later, so my brother danced with you guys for 5 years.
And I joined in late 2011, I think.
Work, yeah.
Or was it early 2012? Who knows?
Who knows?
Which year, I got this one, which year do you think K-pop took off in America?
I'm gonna just say BTS. I know there's been other groups that have made it big, like Psy with Gangnam Style.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, but after him, do you recall of any other K-pop artists that were played on the radio or came around? No. So I would say, even though there's been 4 years, I'd say since even 2008 with Girls' Generation, there's been K-pop idols that have huge followings here in America, but they didn't put K-pop on the map the way BTS and Blackpink did. I'm sorry for those of you who are like, overrated. But I'm talking about the average American.
Nice.
So the average American started to know about K-pop, whether or not they were looking for it, thanks to BTS.
Okay.
Whereas like us K-pop fans were looking for K-pop, and so K-pop always had a big following in America because there were always K-pop fans here. But BTS made the non-K-pop fans aware of K-pop. So I would say that was with Fire was like a big one for them. And so I would say, oh my God, maybe like 2019, 2020 was like, in my opinion, when BTS really just set sail in America.
You had a chance to go to a BTS concert?
I wish. So like, if I wanted to go see BTS, I'd want like a front row seat, and a lot of the venues don't have assigned seating when it comes to BTS. Okay. So it'll be like a free for all in the very front areas.
Right?
Yeah. And so then you'd have, and also their ticket prices are crazy. So you could be spending over $1,000 for that seat, and because it's a free for all, people will camp out ahead of time. I don't have what it takes to spend $1,000, camp out for 2 days in a tent. Learning to purify and drink my own urine, to then have to fight 16-year-olds to get to the front to see BTS.
And even then, like, people will still push, like, even when you people will still push through and you'll be in the back somewhere.
Yeah, so I can't justify that amount of money for that 2 days of struggles, even though I do love BTS. I'm just a little too old to just be elbowed in the tit by a 16-year-old.
I agree.
Girl.
That actually made me jealous of her because Seoul is the one that introduced me to BTS. She's been like a fan since they were in their early stages.
Yeah.
I was more of a Wonder Girls.
Yeah, you were a Wonder Girls. Yeah. And I was over here like bulletproof. Yeah.
And then, well, CMB was a fantastic part of our lives.
Big part of my life. And I was the biggest during that time of my life too. It's crazy.
Yeah, there was so much that we did. I'm glad that every member is like in their right place, in their right time now.
Yes.
Everybody has just kind of like gotten to where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
And keep growing.
Yeah.
So where are you now that we are kind of like doing our own thing and all that?
Yes. So it is fun to see how like every single person is still like, I could contact anybody in CMB if I wanted to. So it's not like anybody had any sort of like massive falling out. I'm happy that here today I have the contact for every member of CMB. I didn't know about Rick though. No, I'm kidding. That's my brother. I can for sure contact him. But like, I like seeing how we're all in some sort of dancing still. For me, I feel like dancing has taken a backseat for me, and I've kind of turned it into a business. So I manage multiple dance cover teams, and within KDA, it started off with wanting to do K-pop workshops for people that are outside of university, that any age can come and have access to K-pop dancing. And from that, I started dance cover teams. And there were some that already existed that wanted me to manage them. So what I do is I provide them with discounted everything I can. So if you're in a cover team, you're going to need to pay for space to practice in, pay for covers. What I do is I get them the biggest discounted rate I can, because I want people to pursue this passion of dance without money being a problem. So I try and help them out with practice space, recording options, and now I get to see other people follow their passions. And yeah, I still love to dance, but I'm liking managing other people's passion more. So I've turned it into a business, and the business has been going really well. We're sponsored by CM Chicken, Fukudi Ramen. We perform for Procter & Gamble, Columbus State Community College. We're working on starting a K-pop con here in Columbus, Ohio. Like, it's just been really going. So I'm surprised at the rate it's been going, because I've only been established for a year and 6 months. So I have a whole team that helps me manage this company, and we just sit back and are just like so appreciative, and we're in shock of all the opportunities we keep getting. And we're like, really? Us? What?
Oh,
How did you?
chicken sounds good.
Chicken does sound good. Like, and they have our dancers come and perform at their grand openings, or Fukudi Ramen just had 2 of our dancers come and model their merch. It's like, I'm like, holy crap, like, we're kind of becoming a talent agency. And I'm like, well, cool, they're talented and I'm here, so.
And let me tell you, I was there for the grand opening for CM Chicken.
Yeah.
On in Pickerington?
Pickerington, and we did another one in Westerville.
Oh, I
Yeah.
lived there for a little bit. But when I was at the opening, it was so much fun. Like, the turnout was crazy. It was like a parking lot full of people. They had decorations. It was almost like an outside stage, but like no platform. But everything else, there was like backdrop.
Yeah.
And then the owner of CM Chicken was like handing out like
Prizes.
gift bags,
Yeah.
but they weren't wrapped, but
Yeah.
you know, there was stuff that you could win and stuff like that, and it was just like so much fun. And people's parents were out there. The restaurant looked very busy for the opening. You know
We
what I mean?
actually, in a 4-hour time span where we did this grand opening for them, they rented out their parking lot. So they informed all the local businesses that shared that parking lot that it would be vacant for this grand opening. And so we set up curtains. They got local DJ to come out and do the audio, and it was on the radio as well. We had a steady crowd of 100 people for every single hour we were doing it. So their grand opening was really successful, and that's why we continue to do the grand openings. And they give back to the community. Like, everybody who dances gets gift cards to CM Chicken, and they try and keep the people, like, they give them free snacks and free drinks while they're out there. So it was really fun, actually. So
yeah. So if you're in Columbus, Ohio, check out CM Chicken.
yes,
Fukudi
Ramen.
Fukudi Ramen.
Yeah, there you go.
Those are also good.
Yeah.
But Slurping Turtle.
Yes, girl.
Oh, that's not a little expensive though.
Slurping Turtle?
Yeah, dude, I went there. I got nachos or some shit. There were like 4 chips with caviar on it. Mad expensive.
Okay.
Well, that was his fault for ordering that.
Yeah.
No. Okay, because I mean, I also had to learn the hard way because I ordered some dumplings and they made it sound like something crazy. They were like, "Oh, you get like 6 of these things," and they were like this big.
Oh, word.
I said, "Oh, okay. Well, then let me go ahead and get like the biggest bowl." But, anyways,
It wasn't expensive though, because he said.
Right.
Yeah.
So. You started KDA,
Yes.
which is the Korean Dance Association?
The K-pop Dance Association.
Oh my God, sorry.
No, you're good. I wish it was Korean dance styles all in general, but I don't know the Korean traditional dances, so just K-pop.
Yeah. And so what do you think are some of the business moves that you've made that has made KDA so successful?
Yeah.
And got you to where you are now?
I guess what I think it was the most beneficial is I'm going to sound like your grandparents. Watch,
You are.
but I am. Watch the company you keep. I know that's like such an old person thing to say, but you have to decide for yourself what your vision is and what your goal is. And it's very common for you to share your vision or your goal with your friends and they want to take part in it. But if your vision doesn't align, they're either going to feel burdened or they're going to slow down your vision. So my advice would be watch the company you keep, because you could be friends with somebody. That does not mean you need to work with somebody. That's two totally different things. And you don't want it to take a toll on your friendship. You don't want it to take a toll on your vision. So the moment you see that something's not lining up with somebody you thought could help you achieve what you want to achieve, part ways.
Or just don't ask them for that thing, because recently, in my case, I've been like asking my friends to like share my shit and like my shit on Instagram. Like I do photography, videography.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know, it just feels like I'm asking them for too much. Like as in
burden, feels like a burden.
Kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, I don't want to part ways from them, but I'm just like, well, maybe I'll just
not ask them. Yeah.
Like,
so that's you removing doing business from your friendship.
Yeah.
Because if they shared a similar vision for you, or if they wanted your growth the same way you want your growth, you wouldn't even need to ask them. They would start sharing your things normally.
Right. And like, I don't want to be like mad at them, but at the same time, like, I'm also not happy about it. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. So that's where you see when you don't share your vision, how it could take a toll on the friendship. And so not only do they maybe feel burdened by you asking them to share your progress, but then now you feel upset about the fact that they don't necessarily want to share your progress. Right. So you should leave that friendship be as a friendship and not, in my opinion, as you saw, not ask them. But then you start to surround yourself with other entrepreneurs who do get excited about your success and will share what you want them to share excitedly, because they have a similar vision for themselves. So once I let go of doing business with my friends, I started looking for people who were like-minded, and I found them. I don't even have to ask. When I upload a dance schedule for what we're going to be teaching that month, I have like 5-6 people that already screenshot it and are sharing it without me saying anything. And then I follow them, and the moment they upload something or they do something or they have an event, they don't even have to ask. I'm going to share it because I'm just as excited for their progress as they are for their own progress, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I have something to say about you brought up a good point.
Yeah.
You brought up a good point. There is kind of a difference, like, let's say, for example, like we were in a dance group together, right?
Yeah.
Versus you and your friends not working together.
Yeah.
It makes it a little more difficult when the people that you're working with aren't supporting you versus your friends that aren't working with you not supporting you,
100%.
I guess you could say. It's easier for you to be like, okay, well, I know that you're my friends, but I'm not going to hold this against you. Like, it's not an ultimatum.
Yeah.
Versus if we are working with our friends and they're
we're already working together.
It's like wow, like you guys don't want to progress.
So I've actually seen that. I have a friend who's in a cover group, and this friend wants to continue dancing, and her other 2 friends wants to take a hiatus. They want to take a break. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting to take a break, and you should respect people's energy. Like, if they need a break, they need a break. But at the same time, the other friend wants to dance, and now she has nobody to do so with. So even within a group itself, you have to be sure that when you decide to be in a group together and you decide that you're working together, that doesn't mean your vision aligns even then. So watch the company you keep. Make sure that the people you're in a group with have the same goal as you. Because if you want to dance more than they want to dance, you will be excited about the opportunities and they will feel tired. And you'd be like, but you're the group I'm in. Who else am I going to dance it with? And now they're tired or they're feeling burdened and you're feeling held back or you're feeling upset. So even in your own group, you have to watch the company you keep and you have to make sure that you have a similar vision. And if not, find people who do on both ends.
Yeah, I agree with that because it was like in certain situations where you feel like you're a little more passionate about getting yourself out there and kind of benefiting from your own hobby. You know? I want to say like make money.
No, that's okay too, though.
It takes a lot of work. Like you throw yourself out there, you network, you do this and that. Like you build relationships and yourself. And sometimes you do have to leave the people that you know, yeah, this is fun to do, you know, with you. But at the same time, like I'm surrounding myself with people that are also as excited as I am to do what we're doing.
Yes. And it could save your friendships as well. So like, let's say you're very excited about dancing. So you'll go to these events and you're networking really hard to continue this flow of opportunity that comes your way. If your friends don't view it as important as you, they're not going to treat the people that you're trying to network with the same respect that you treat them, which could ruin opportunities for you. And then it stands for you to get upset with those people. Like, come on, you know, this person's really important. And your friend might say like, who cares? It's just a dance competition. Mm-hmm. They don't view it with the same level as importance for you. So they might ruin things that you view as opportunities because they do not. So, Mm-hmm. So you got to let them go. And if they don't view it as an opportunity, that's their right. And that's okay for them to not view it as an opportunity. But if you do, watch the company you keep and let them go and let them just be a friend. They don't got to be a dance partner. They don't have to be a business partner. You know, leave them where they're comfortable.
Right. Yes. Saul, you're just over here speaking tea.
That's my opinion, though. You know
about you know, keeping relationships, letting some go. What are your plans for the future, and how do you go about like maintaining connections with certain people that will benefit you?
Okay. Yeah. So my plans for my future would be I want to give back to the K-pop dancers as much as I can. So I would love to kind of turn KDA, like keep the main focus of giving K-pop dance opportunities to all through workshops. But since I have that already, I want to add kind of becoming more like an agency, a talent agency, so that dancers that want opportunities can get them. So since I have a platform and I receive opportunities, I want to take those, turn them around, and give them to as many local dancers as I can, so that K-pop dancing can start to gain the same respect, payment, and just appreciation as all other styles of dancing. Like whether you do jazz, whether you do Irish step dancing, whether you do any type of traditional dancing, I want these K-pop dancers to get the same opportunities and respect as all the other ones do. So that's my plan for the future, is how can I take these dancers and use my platform to get them as many opportunities as possible to be seen. So that's my plan. Yeah. So luckily though, I think like maintaining my connections is what gives them these opportunities. So any connection, any opportunity you've ever been given, I think is so important to leave a good impression on them so that they're likely to ask you to come back or to do another one for them. So when we did the grand opening for CM Chicken, yeah, it was like 7 months before they asked us to do another one. But because we left that impression on them when we did the first one, they asked us to do another, and they recently asked us to do a third. So just make sure that you keep, no matter how small the connection is, don't necessarily burn your bridges if you don't have to.
I never believe in burning bridges. Never.
Yeah.
That makes one of us.
I don't know why.
One of us.
No, this is like super toxic, you know.
Yes, 100%.
That way, I'm saying like not with customers. Like I'm never gonna like lash out at a customer. If they did something, or like, you know, I'm just gonna be like, you know what, it's fine. We're gonna call it there. Mm-hmm. And if you, they'll figure it out. You know, so they'll come back.
100%.
They'll see that they were in the wrong and they'll come back.
Yeah. And like that being said, also like that was my advice on like watch the company you keep. You don't need to, you know, tell them to like fuck off or I'll never work with you again. The point of parting ways is to maintain your connections, to maintain your friendship and have it not take a toll. So no matter how small you believe the opportunity was, try and leave your best impression you can, because you never know when they could bring you another opportunity.
Right.
So even if it was taxing, even if maybe it wasn't the best of experiences, try and have respect as best as you can. And so my advice is, specifically here in America, don't talk about like politics or religion or things like that. Like, if I'm here to dance, that's what we're going to do, is we're going to dance. And I try and keep politics or religion or things like that out of the equation, because specifically here in America, and I am American, our culture is kind of like, if you don't agree with me, you are bad. You know?
Like, you mean in the business area or like personal and business?
Personal things, like whether it's politics or religion, if you are not of my religion, you're a heathen, or, you know, or you're bad. Or if you don't side the way I side politically, you're a bad person, or I hate you. So like, unfortunately, even through, you can see it in cinema. In the United States, we like a very black and white, a very stark, you're good, you're bad, type of vibe. That's why our villains are such inherent villains, and our good guys are such inherently good guys, so that way, because we like a hero and a villain. So in other cultures, I've experienced more so that if you're not of the same religious belief as me, that's okay. It's not the end of the world, and we'll be fine. But here, it's more like a stark contrast, and it's kind of almost more aggressive. Like, if you're not Christian and you haven't accepted Jesus, you're going to hell. Or the opposite. If I don't follow a religion, I'm an atheist, and you're like, ugh, church, it's fucking church, ugh. Mm-hmm. It's the Christians, it's the Catholics. Like, if you don't side where I side, the dislike is so intense here that you're best to not talk about it if you want to maintain a good connection, or you want to maintain mutual respect, because in America specifically, we struggle with giving respect to people who don't side with us.
Honestly, I've seen it in like Indian, like my India too, like with Hinduism and like Islam.
Yeah.
But with America, honestly, there are some good people. Like, obviously, anywhere you go, there are good people.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying? But I agree. Like, there are also some extremists.
Yeah. And it is a generalization. It, of course, doesn't apply to everybody. Right. There's always exceptions. But in general, what I find is that's the reason, one of the many reasons why, like, Democrats and Republicans dislike each other so intensely. Or, like, people who are more, like, religious dislike the liberals so intensely. The dislike, if you don't agree with me, is so intense here, because if you don't side with me, you're bad.
I agree with that, especially with that politics shit. Like, I think it's just divided us really badly. I really don't like how Democrats and Republicans are divided. It's like two different, like, it's like yin yang. It's weird. It's like very weird.
And you can see how it's gotten more intense over the years.
Yeah.
Before it was, okay, so you're Democratic, okay, so you're Republican. And before it also used to be that just because you're Republican doesn't mean you side with every Republican political view. And just because you're Democratic doesn't mean you side with every Democratic political view either. But now, in an attempt to build such a stark contrast between my side and your side, even if they don't agree politically with everything that's there, some people will just side with it because they're Democratic, or they'll side with it because they're Republican, to build that bigger divide of like a me versus you.
I have a question. Do you think that the division between the Republican and Democratic people have become more intense since 45's reign?
You can say fucking Trump, bro. What the fuck does he matter?
Yeah.
Well, I don't like to name drop, even though I'm pretty popular. I've met him a couple times.
For real?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
So I'm going to say something that might not... I didn't vote for Trump. But, like, I don't think Trump started it all. I think he brought it to light.
Yeah.
I think it's something that existed before Trump.
It still exists for sure.
Yeah,
It's always existed.
the people hated who they hated and what they hated before Trump. Whether or not they voiced it as strongly is neither here nor there. All I'm saying is I don't blame him for what people dislike. It was here before him. He's not some massive genius who brought these people with him into office. No, but I do believe that the divide has become more intense as the years have progressed. Like everything has intensified, and sensitivity is higher, and people become up in arms more easily.
I think it's because he kind of like took away the whole filter of political correctness.
Yeah.
It was like, no, say what you want to say because I'm going to do the same. If you want to say,
and I'm
like,
the president,
yeah,
I'm saying
if you want to say all this craziness to somebody, then just do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing it too.
Yeah, I'm saying is in general. Obviously, can't speak for everybody who supported Trump. I do not believe that a single person that, let's say, disliked Mexican immigrants, for example, one of the many issues that there was, I don't believe a single person that disliked Mexican immigrants started to dislike them because Trump told them to. I think they always had that dislike, but whether or not they were going to voice it is different,
Because for a long time it was just like, no, not to say something like that because he knew it was hateful.
It was a norm. Like, it was more like, everybody kind of knew socially that if you you hate the gays, you don't say it. You kind of...
Amen, sister.
Amen. You look around and you're kind of like, I don't want to go there, it's gay. Like, you whisper, but it then turned from whispering about it to being like, dropping the F-bomb. Like, oh, them freaking...
Do you guys think when 9/11 happened, right? And then all the brown folks were getting criticized.
Oh my God, brown folk.
We're getting criticized for all the terrorist shit. Saying Indian people and Pakistanis and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I feel like racism was at its highest, after a long time, after slavery and all that, right?
Yes, there was a lot of, I think, hatred towards anybody who was Arabic.
Right.
Yeah,
and then I feel like it died down for a long time, after a few years.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trump came around, it died down, and then it was people learned, oh wait, we shouldn't be saying these things, doing these things, right? Mm-hmm. They've always thought about it. Mm-hmm. But they just oh wait, we shouldn't portray it out in the world now.
Yeah.
But then Trump came out, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I guess my question is, my response would be, do you think it died down or people just weren't saying it?
No, they just weren't saying it. They weren't just portraying it anymore.
Yeah.
I think it might be a time thing, like you said, oh my God, excuse me. Like you said, the 9/11 catastrophe happened, and then people at school who were that even looked remotely brown were kind of threatened, and they went through this and that, and then I would say maybe not though. That's kind of when would you say that the internet started blowing up? I don't know.
Yeah.
People across.
That's another time, man.
The internet always magnifies things very, very intensely, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But the other thing I would say, in my opinion, is the people who turned on their friends because they were, Arabic or because they were of color. I believe, in my opinion, they always disliked you and they were waiting for a reason to voice it. Because there's no way that somebody can know you your entire life and know that you had absolutely nothing to do with what took place, and because it took place they suddenly hate you. My rebuttal is, maybe they already hated you and they were just looking for a reason. So I feel like Trump didn't bring the hate, but Trump was their reason. Does that make sense? The reason to voice it.
Yeah.
The people that hated you, period. They didn't start because he told them to. They started voicing it because he was their reason. their reason that justified being able to voice it.
I also have it's kind of like, you know how as we got older, we were learning how disrespectful it was for Asian people to, you know, mimic their features
accents or anything
and
like
stuff
that.
like that. And
To Asian people to mimic their accents.
Yeah, like you
Yeah.
know how back in the day, like if you know,
like people would mimic, you know,
any type of Asian accent when speaking English, or they like pull their eyes at
any
you.
any like
Oh, like an American thing,
stereotypes.
like American doing Asian thing.
As we
Yeah.
got older, we learned, like, at least Zell and I are old enough to have known up to a point in time where that was genuinely just considered humor. And like, as you get older, you learn like, that's really rude. Like, don't do that.
Because like, I mean,
I never did,
I don't know
but
about you, but there wasn't a lot of Asian students when I was
No.
younger.
Yeah.
So it was just like, it was just funny. And then, you know,
then you can see how it affects people and it becomes less funny.
yeah, the media, like all that you would see in movies, like all these crazy like late 90s movies that would do stereotypes. But we learned that that wasn't right?
Early
Yeah.
2000s too, I'm sure.
But, well, yeah, but then COVID happened. And then all this crazy stuff started to be, you know, said about Asian people again.
Still going on.
So I think
hate-
that's kind of just, it comes in waves. You know, it's like
Yeah.
just any sort of like,
When something happens that's related to that culture, they're like, oh man,
Yeah.
let's blame that culture.
Yeah.
that's kind of like what I thought of when he brought up 9/11 and the,
And I think the reason things like that have intensified is because we learned, as time has progressed, we villainize the other. We view them as, if you're not me, you're a danger, or I can't hate you. Now I know every culture is ethnocentric, which means you believe that your religion, your culture, your country's the best.
Patriotic.
Yeah, otherwise you wouldn't follow that religion or you wouldn't follow that culture if you could. You know, I understand everybody's ethnocentric, but just because you love what you are doesn't mean you should hate what others are.
Right.
We've kind of lost that a little bit, where if anything goes wrong in our lives, naturally, we look for somebody else to blame. Naturally. And if there is anybody else to blame, like it originated in China, we now hate the Chinese. Even though they didn't want it to originate there, nobody wanted it. But when things go wrong in our lives as general population nowadays, what we do is we look for somebody to blame and we look for somebody to hate for what's wrong in our lives. And when we find like, you hurt me, it's your fault, not mine, we attack, we villainize. So I think even though no Chinese person wanted COVID, people were quick to develop hate for any Asian people, even Asian countries where it did not originate,
Right.
because we want to villainize. That's just how we are.
And I think like America is all about like having diversity, you know. And I think because of the past, it's not like this yet. But I know like America has so many different countries, like, you know, people from different countries living in this country, you know. I think in like 100 years it's gonna get a lot better.
Yes, I would hope.
I really do believe.
But the other thing is like, we have those who like villainize, but it also goes in another direction as well. So as Americans, we also strive to protect. It's like, it's just a thing we do. We love to protect, we love to defend, we love to stand up for people. But the issue we have with going with the fact that we also villainize nowadays, we villainize very strongly, is in our want to defend one, we will villainize the other. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So in our want to side with one side, we
like
yeah.
Israel Palestine stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in America, I can only speak for America. That's where I live. So I'm sure
No,
it
actually,
happens.
I've seen this. Like, I have friends in India, and like,
Okay.
and I've seen the same things. Like, everybody's on like,
I
"Oh,
think
let's
it's
stop this
global,
thing."
yeah. But like, I can only speak for where I'm at currently. So I know generally around the world, in our day and age, we love to villainize so that we could have an answer, or we have somebody to blame for our problems. But also we take that into defending. So in America, when we want to defend one side, we choose to do so by villainizing the other side.
I agree.
And I don't think there is a way to say you want peace when you hate one side. For example, if you wish one side didn't exist, you wish they didn't exist at all, who would the peace be between?
Yeah.
The other side don't exist no mas, no more.
Yeah.
So in our want to defend, right, we bring in our villainizing culture. So let's say you are a female, okay? You're a female and you wanted to have your right to, I don't know, birth control. I'm not going to take it into abortion. Let's say you wanted your right to birth control, and somebody who was more religious was like, you should just wait till marriage. It's not what I agree on. But you could disagree, you could vote in what majority rules and, you know, be happy, right? And the other person should respect the fact that they lost that majority vote, vice versa. But in my wanting to defend your side, I have to try and be careful to not villainize this other side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, saying like, you're the fucking worst, I hate these people. Then you don't want mutual agreement, then you don't want peace anymore. So you have to be very careful that in your want to defend one side, you don't necessarily have to villainize the other side, because then you can't have peace. You have to have, you can pick a side, you could support a side, but you have to be able to want the other side to exist as well, because if they don't exist, who's the peace between?
Right. So you're saying we're villainizing Israel right now to supposedly save
Palestine.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's more like Hamas.
Yes. So I'm Israeli.
Yeah.
Right. I and American. I have dual citizenship. It's a thing. It is a thing.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah,
Right.
it's a lengthy fucking process. My parents are trying to make me do it, and I'm like, you know what? I don't got patience for this shit.
It's completely up to you. You know, it's fun having two passports. You kind of feel like a secret agent, like, oh, wow, two passports, and like, girl, I don't give a shit. TSA's like, let me scan one. I don't care.
Yeah.
No, that paperwork is bullshit.
That's secret.
Let me
Yeah. Girl, I can never be a spy. One, I'm a mouth breather, and two, I'm scared of the dark. So I'd be in the shadows like,
I just can't crawl through vents.
girl,
Put me through a
could
vent.
not,
I'm
would
falling
not.
through, honey.
Girl.
She's got
Up
to
down.
down the stairs without
Yeah.
falling down.
All right, calm
Literally,
down.
they're trying to have a meeting, and they hear the vent going like,
Oh my goodness. Just because I'm winded trying to take a flight of stairs.
girl, could never be a spy. She's too thick. I run for no man, no country.
The goggles don't fit around my head. The dinosaur skull. It's for real.
For real, they couldn't find a wig to disguise you. I'm kidding.
Baby. Diameter, parameter, and
Yeah.
most importantly,
Exactly. And on that note, so I spent a lot of time in Israel. I've lived in Israel. I lived in America. I have dual citizenship. So since I've lived in America, I can say for a fact, not at my school. Actually, my school, yes, but not at any of my friends' schools. Period. No school I've ever heard of has studied Middle Eastern history.
Yeah.
All right. We study American history. We study like overall European history, but we don't go into depth about Middle Eastern history the same way we go into American history. Why the hell would we? You know. But that being said, in Israel, we do study the history of the Middle East. That's where we are.
Yeah. Give us a little background as to what happened. Like, what led to all this?
So, first, I'd like to preface it by saying that, like, as an Israeli, I have Palestinian friends.
Right.
All right. I've been to the West Bank. I've been to the Gaza Strip, and I have friends who are Palestinian. All right. So when I see all my American friends posting on social media, not only have they not studied the same amount of history as I have, or my Palestinian friends, they themselves don't even know a Palestinian. They don't. Like, you could be Arabic, but that doesn't mean you're Palestinian. So I'd like to preface it with the fact that I do have Palestinian friends. So first and foremost, but essentially, if you want like a spark notes of the history, I'd like to take it in order of claims. So black and white claim would say whoever is winning is the colonizer. Like that, the the land was colonized by the Israelis. But if you want to look at it historically, there was something called the Holocaust. Crazy.
Oh my God.
Girl, the Holocaust. And unfortunately, the Jews were not killed off in the Holocaust. A lot of them were killed off. The Holocaust really did its thing. What is it, like 1 in every 3 people you cross is Christian, like 1 in every 3 is Muslim, but 1 in every 100 is Jewish. Because the Holocaust really kind of came and did what it wanted. So unfortunately, all the Jews were not killed off in the Holocaust. So the UN was now trying to see what they could do with what they called the Jewish problem, which meant, what are we going to do with these people who didn't die?
Wait, couldn't they just go back home?
They could not. So all of their homes were already, other people were living there.
Oh.
So the homes of the survivors of the Holocaust were not all Jews, but it was like 90% Jews. The rest were gays or gypsies or anybody with any disability. But the main target was the Jews. Their homes were sold to whether it was Germans or Polish people
shit.
They weren't allowed to take back their homes. They had nothing.
Right.
So they didn't have any homes in their original countries they were living in. The UK didn't want to take them. So the first act of Zionism that was proposed was we should take the Holocaust survivors to the Vatican and have the current Pope at the time, outstretch his hand and turn him to Catholicism so that there wouldn't be Holocaust survivors, because they're not Jewish now, they're Catholic.
So Zionism is eliminating Jewishness?
Zionism is, I'm just saying Zionism isn't as glorious as, historically we try and necessarily make it out to be. So like the first act was to try and convert the Holocaust survivors. Now these really selfish Jews said, no. How about no? The UK didn't want to let them in, but the UK, essentially, SparkNote's version, was saying, we have this piece of land that we own. And they did. It was their land. But in that land, they had Bedouin people, they had Jewish people, they had Palestinian people. But the most important fact that you need to remember is that that land was called the Mandate of Palestine.
Okay.
They had a mandate over that land with the UK, and they were calling that land the Mandate of Palestine. Was everybody in that land Palestinian? No, but you can't change the fact that it was the Mandate of Palestine. So they took these Holocaust survivors, and they were the first ones to come and be placed there. So they were placed there. They didn't want to take it over. They didn't have anything besides the clothes on their back. They didn't even have homes. So these Holocaust survivors were placed there, and they were placed in what is an equivalent of about 3 to 6% of the land. It was little. That's where they were put. And the land was still called the Mandate of Palestine. So the surrounding city, or the surrounding people to where they were placed. Now, this is not everybody, because there were people way up north didn't even know what was going on. There wasn't technology like there is now. So not everybody hated the Jews that were put there. That's not the truth, okay? So it's not to say that the Palestinians were like the bad guys. That's neither here nor there, because it wasn't a consensus. It wasn't everybody who felt that way. But the people that were surrounding where these immigrants were placed were very unhappy with the immigrants. I mean, worse than America. You know how America says, some Americans like build a wall, no Mexicans, or the UK had Brexit,
Because they already had Arabs living there, right?
There were Arabs, there were Bedouins, there were Jews, we don't
want
the people that were surrounded to where this little piece of land that these Holocaust survivors were placed, they didn't want them there.
Yeah.
Which is their right to not want them there. But, they were like, we don't accept immigrants here, period. No immigrants. We don't want them. So, and this is even historically, there's still records of this. They did the right thing by reaching out and saying, what the fuck? It wasn't even like they attacked first, though. They didn't want them there. Even if it wasn't taking up the whole land, even if there was a tiny portion, it was still the Mandate of Palestine. Please let these Holocaust survivors live here. The answer was no. So they voiced their opinion and said, we don't want them here. And they went through the right method of it by letting, politically them know that they didn't want them here. The UK basically said, tough cookies. That's where we're putting them because we don't want them here and nobody else wants them. And believe it or not, in the 40s, this is going to sound crazy, there was no piece of land that wasn't already established. Crazy, right? What you mean to tell me there's not a piece of land somewhere in the world in the 40s that had nobody living there to put them? The answer is no. There was no way, there's no piece of land to have put them, so the UK put them in the land that they own, whatever. So they said, take them out. They did not take him out. So they said, we will attack, take him out. So the people that were surrounding that area that the survivors were put in, they attacked. Now, when you fight a fight over land and you lose, what do you lose?
The land.
The land.
Yeah.
So by some miracle, the skin and bone Holocaust survivors won.
Oh, so that's what that map shows when
You can
Palestine's
see,
losing all that
yeah,
land.
the progression is after fights.
Oh, so when Palestinians are like the Arabs that were living there, Mandate of Palestine, right?
Mandate of Palestine.
They're like attacking them. They're like, get out of here, get out of here. We don't want you.
Yeah.
Well, but they lost.
They lost.
So now they're like, oh.
So what do you lose when you lose a fight over land?
It's like, oh,
you
now
lose
it's our land. So
yeah.
we're gonna stay here. You're not gonna come in. We're gonna. You put the borders around it. You have your fucking army. Like, bitch,
and this is for.
You're not gonna attack us again.
This is at least the consensus between me and my educated Israeli friends. I don't blame the surrounding people that attacked those people. I don't blame them for not wanting them there because Germany didn't want them, Poland didn't want them, Spain didn't want them, the UK didn't want them. So why the fuck would anybody blame these people who identified as Palestinians for not wanting them? They can't be to blame when nobody else wanted them either.
This should be the World War, whoever the fuck was participants in this war's problem, where they should have given these folks their homes back, right?
No, they didn't want them. That's all it is. They didn't have a space to be. If they were German, they didn't have a German home to return to. If they were Polish, they didn't have a Polish home to return to. And other countries didn't want to let them in. So do I, as an Israeli, blame the neighboring Palestinian city that attacked those immigrants that were forcibly put there? I do not.
Yeah.
Because then that'd be hypocritical. You should also blame Germany, Poland, even England, who was helping the Jewish problem. So I don't blame them.
No, for sure.
And politically, they're not to blame either. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But were these Holocaust survivors here to colonize? They were not. If you think for one moment, period ever, that these Holocaust survivors that were almost they survived genocide.
They've been to the worst.
Yeah, that they don't even have a home, right? And they're so scared of everybody that's not Jewish because they were almost eliminated. If you think for one moment they say, you know what we should do? Once we find a place to sit down or a home, we should probably go to war. If you think for one moment that's what the fuck they wanted to do, I've got news for you, it's not. But does that mean that the Palestinians that, had the Mandate of Palestine are to blame? They are not. Because they didn't want them the same way Germany didn't want them, Poland didn't want them, and the UK didn't want them. But it is not a fact that the immigrants that were placed in at most 6% of the land attacked. And I always counter and say, attack with what? What did they attack with?
That's what I was wondering. When you were saying that, I'm like, they just moved to a new country. What the fuck are they gonna have?
What do they have? Now, once again, there was also times where the Jewish people did business with people that were Bedouin or Palestinian, bought, sold land. So for the people who believe that the Israelis believe that the Palestinians are the bad guys, that is not a fact. That is not true. I don't view Palestinians as bad. That is just not what it is.
That's just some bad actors.
Yeah, and to say that, they attacked first, they did. That is a historical fact. But to say that they didn't try and do it politically first is untrue. Yeah. They did try and do it politically first. They did try and, state, we don't want them here. Why? you know?
Right.
So to label them as like, you know, barbarians or anything like that is not true.
Right.
All right. And to say that it was all of them is also not true, because we have people as high as Akov who didn't give two shits. They didn't know, like, they don't give a shit, you know?
Akko?
It's like a very northern part of that current land. So, once again, if you fight a fight over land, like let's say you were in a certain area, let's call it Reynoldsburg, and you were attacked by Whitehall, you were attacked from that area and you won, you're going to push those people out of that area because you won. You want to fight over land, so you win land.
Yeah.
And now you're like, cool, they can't attack us from there. We won, so we won that land, and we could, you know, you win the land, you overtake the land, that's
Like,
where you are.
we're gonna protect it so you don't do this shit again.
Yeah,
Right.
but it kind of,
No, keep going, keep going.
no, okay. So it kind of became a growing thing. Now, this is not the general population's opinion, all right? Because there were a lot of militaries that arose that, you know, don't necessarily fight on the majority of the people's beliefs. But to keep a long story short, that's what happened. There were multiple battles and multiple wars that took place, because now if you lost, right, you lost your land. So you still have the rest of the Mandate of Palestine. You scoot back. They attack again. They lost. When you lose land.
Right.
You know? But not every single war, man, I guess I could get dates. Treaties were offered. Treaties were offered in a political way, you know, from both sides to like stop the fighting. So like they won land, here's a treaty. Treaty was not upheld. Another attack comes in, okay, so we fight because we don't want to die. So they didn't lose again. The Jewish people didn't lose again. They won more land, so on and so forth. At one point, actually, the Jewish people in the original part that was called Israel, which took place at around 1948, they had what is currently the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. And in one of the treaties, they swapped land because the center part was primarily desert, you know. And if you have the part that's facing the Mediterranean, you have a port, you know.
Right.
And if you have the part that is on the other side, I don't know if you know where the Gaza Strip and the West Bank are, but they're on opposite sides. Then you have the Dead Sea, and you have your aligning Arab countries. So one of the treaties, we swapped land as well. There was also the Yom Kippur War, which I think was 1967, I believe, 1967. So I'm gonna just keep it moving along. Yom Kippur is a Jewish holiday where you can't eat, you can't drink, you can't touch water, you can't read, you can't write, you can't rip paper. You basically have to suffer for 26 hours. And you pray and you ask God for forgiveness for anything wrong you might have done that year. It's called Yom Kippur. So during the Yom Kippur War, a militia that was in charge at the time on behalf of the Palestinians. Now, this does not mean that the Palestinians sided with this, but a militia that was in charge of them at the time attacked on the 25th hour because they knew that the Israeli people would be extremely dehydrated and hungry and tired. It was a 6-day war. It went on for 6 days. And even then, unfortunately, the Israelis didn't lose. Bad Israel. The Israelis didn't lose, they won. And in that war, they actually won part of Egypt. So Egypt was supporting this war. They won part of Egypt. And they, part of the Sinai, I believe. And even after that, then they won control over the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. They won everything. They won.
Yeah.
They won the biggest part of it. It could have been all theirs. But they, even though they won the land and some, including a portion of Egypt, they still wanted just peace. So what they did is, instead of keeping the land they won, they came up with another treaty. And the treaty said that essentially they'll keep the West Bank, they'll keep the Gaza Strip, and Egypt can take back the land that they just lost. Now, is that a bit stupid of the Israelis? Some say yes, some say no. All right. But the bottom line is they didn't attack. They were attacked. They won. They won the land. They gave it back. All right. And one of the things that they wanted to do first, right, was they had multiple propositions. So the way the Israeli government is run is they have multiple cabinets. Like, I'm trying to relate it to English as best as I can. Multiple parties, multiple representatives, and they give their opinions and they vote on how to proceed on things. So one of the options was to take the land that they won in Egypt and make that Palestine. So the Palestinian people could now have a land that is bigger than what they have with the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, and bigger than Israel. And so that way there would be a Palestine and there would be an Israel. And if Egypt agreed, Egypt itself would still be 5 times larger than Israel. Palestine would be larger than Israel, and there would still be an Israel.
Right.
Egypt didn't want it.
Yeah. They're like, we're not giving up.
Egypt doesn't want the
Palestinians. Wants to give
Palestinians.
up land for share, right?
Yeah, but if that's the case, Palestine could be huge, Egypt could still be huge, and Israel could still be tiny. And if you look at a map, there's Lebanon, Jordan, Iran, Egypt, Syria. There's so many, let's say we even took Iran, for example, who's supporting Palestine, which is great. If Iran gave a piece of land and called it Palestine, since they support the Palestinians and they are similar culture and similar religious belief, they can make that piece of land larger than Israel, 2 times larger than Israel.
Oh, yeah.
So Palestine could be larger than Israel.
If we care that much.
Yeah. And Iran itself would still be 3 times larger than Israel.
Yeah.
They don't want that.
No.
So the question now stands, after the Yom Kippur War, Israel won. They won. The only land that was left was the Gaza Strip, the West Bank. You attacked, you lost.
Yeah.
And by historical means, you fight over land, you lose land.
Right.
So the question is, if Israel won, why is the Gaza Strip and the West Bank still here today? Why isn't it called Israel?
Because they were being generous and they tried to help them out.
Israel
They don't want to cut them off.
is one of the main countries that keeps Palestine around. All right? I know it's going to sound like, oh, yeah, because they're keeping them trapped. They're not trapped. If they wanted to leave, they would leave. They're surrounded by Arab countries that supposedly support them. Tomorrow, Israel will be the first one to say free Palestine, and let's take them then. Let's go. Where you want to go, which country? We'll provide you the buses. The bottom line is that they don't want to leave that land, and I don't blame them, all right? Because that's a land that they called home for so long.
But their ancestors were attacking, trying to
but to say that the Holocaust survivors came into this land with the hopes to colonize it and take it all over, we will never know, because historically it's not how it took place. All right? Let's say it was their plan. We can't say that because historically it's not how it took place.
Yeah.
Now, I know as Americans, we love a black and white, and in America was colonized because Christopher Columbus came here to take over here. All right? These Holocaust survivors didn't go somewhere to take it over. They were placed somewhere. Had no choice.
Right.
Placed somewhere. No choice. And for them to want to take over, no. I believe the Holocaust survivors would have had no problem with getting put in that land and it'd be called Palestine, but can we live here? The same way they would have been fine with being put in England and having it be called England, but can we fucking live here? So is the UK partially to blame for not just letting them in? In my opinion, yes.
UK and other countries that were part of the war.
Yeah, so I don't believe the Palestinian people were wrong for not wanting anybody else to come into their land and have it be called anything else. So I don't believe that they're wrong. So my biggest issue now is, though, unfortunately, the Palestinian people have such great political arguments, such great political standing, but they aren't allowed to fight politically because they are oppressed. Now, their biggest oppressor.
Can you repeat the sentence, please?
Yeah, the Palestinian people have such great political standing, and it would be amazing if they would be allowed to fight politically. But they aren't allowed to fight politically because they have constant militia that arises that oppresses them and forces them to fight with attacks, bombings, stabbings, so many things. It's currently Hamas. It's before it was a different one, and a different one, and a different one. These militaries arise, and
Oh, okay, you're saying it was these military powers that are like are becoming people's voices instead of actually
yes,
people's voices.
and so as somebody who like I said, I see people who are pro-Palestine, and in being pro-Palestine, I see them also insult Palestinian people. So they'll justify what happened on October 7th by saying like, well, it's justified when they do it because they're less educated. And like, if you lived in a third world country, how would you act? And I'm like, what the fuck?
No,
like,
so what happened with me was...
Like, you can't insult them.
No, so what happened with me was like, I saw Hamas attack, right? And then...
Yes.
Then all those maps were showing up of like, oh, look at Israel. They've been taking over all this Palestinian land for this long,
Yeah, people were quick to defend... People are quick to defend any attacks that take place on Israel because they, like I said, if you want to defend, you have to villainize the other side. That's how we do things here.
Then you saw the kids die, right?
Yeah.
All that shit.
So
then you were saying something about that.
So like people, the bottom line is people will be quick to villainize the other side. But what I was saying is after the Yom Kippur War, everybody that identified as Palestinian, like if Israel did what they wanted to after the Yom Kippur War, because they won, and they got full control over the West Bank and Gaza, it would have all been called Israel since the Yom Kippur War.
Yeah.
It would have just been called Israel. But they instead, with their victory, offered a peace treaty. That's crazy.
Yeah. It would be nice.
But yeah, and so like there will be constant things where even then the peace treaty was not upheld because different militia arises and say, well, you signed the peace treaty with them, you didn't sign it with us. And they will continue to do acts of terrorism. Now, people online like to view Israel being in charge of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip as an act of terrorism. But they don't view the bombings, the stabbings, anything like that as an act of terrorism. They view that as an act of wanting your land back. So I'm like, we got to be very careful, on what we do, because at the bottom line, the fact of the matter is, after the Yom Kippur War, there could have been no West Bank and no Gaza Strip.
Oh, so when Palestinian people are bombing or stabbing, you're saying they're trying to take their land back?
That's what the majority of people online would say is like,
I've seen this
they'll justify it by saying they're fighting for their land by doing these acts of terrorism, so it's not terrorism. But meanwhile, if Israel is occupying Gaza or West Bank because they won that war, that's terrorism.
Right.
So, there's a lot that people don't know historically, and like I said,
sure.
It's not so black and white. And I'm not here to say that the Palestinians are the bad guys and the Israelis are the good guys. All I'm saying is when you fight a fight over land and you lose land.
And also earlier you were saying a lot of people that are sharing all these posts about Palestine are not really Palestinians.
They're not
Arab
Palestinians.
people.
They could be Arabic, they could be American, they could be anything they want to be. But all I'm saying is most of them are not Palestinian or even know a Palestinian, which is okay, you could support. But all I'm saying is before you pick a side, you have to educate yourself, because I know Palestinians who aren't even as anti-Israel as some Americans I know. Mm-hmm. Because they know that there's history. And I encounter things where like, I am also like, I would love to see on a map of Palestine and in Israel. That's okay. That's no problem. Like, listen.
Just don't try to come taking our land again. Like, you know what I'm saying? We've owned this land, we've established it, now don't come here again, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, but even if that was the case, like let's say they attacked and they won, that means they win land. And if they won it, I wouldn't want any Israeli to be like, they took our land and continue
Let's get over
yeah,
it.
like
Fuck,
they
fucking
you fought,
lost.
you lost, they won the land, and now it's
Yeah.
theirs. But the bottom line is currently, like let's say, there are, like I said, there's 22. Oh my God, please let me be right. 22 Arab countries in this world.
Something like that.
There's only one Jewish country. But if you want to do it this way, let's make it 23. Let's give the land. Let's call it Palestine. But can the Jews live there? That's the question. That's what I always ask people. Let's call it Palestine, top to bottom. But can the Jewish people still live there as well? And what I can say is historically, I believe the answer is no. Because when the Jewish people were in only 6% of the land, the answer was still no. So I don't believe that the answer would ever be yes. But my other thing is, okay then, how about if for farts and giggles, let's say we're gonna take all the Jews out of the land, we're gonna call it Palestine. That's cool. Can we all agree that the Jewish people deserve a land? If anybody who identifies as Muslim gets 23 countries, I think it's not too much to ask that the Jewish people get one. Fair, not fair? Okay, so then let's look at the map. Let's say, okay, Canada. Canada's huge for what reason? Are they really using all of it? Does Canada have any piece that they'd be willing to give to the Jews? The answer is gonna be no. Okay, what about Russia? Are y'all really using all of that? Like, can we give a, this is the same question that they were faced with after the Holocaust. There's no empty land
The only reason, So only reason the Jews were put into the mandate of Palestine was because that was owned by UK, and they were like, "This is the right. This is
where we're gonna send you.
Give them a land. You'll live with them." But then the people living in mandate of Palestine, they were like, "No, fuck this shit."
Which is their right to be that way. It is 100% their right to be
But
that way.
then again, they gotta understand, like, where are these people gonna go? You know what I'm saying? Like
I said, if let's say we're faced with the same problem right now, which we very well could be, okay? Let's say we uproot everybody that identifies as Israeli, all right? We take them out, right? So we got them. I don't know where the fuck we gonna put them, a boat. Let's say we found a boat big enough. It's a hypothetical, right?
Sure.
So we're having the same issue that we had after the Holocaust. Where are you gonna put them that no one's going to be up in arms?
yeah, it's just
Where are you gonna put them?
Antarctica
There's gonna be somebody that's
Somebody, no
Somebody
matter
that's
what,
mad.
is gonna be
or take.
upset, you know?
Yeah.
So I view it as not as much colonization. It's more so like, let's say we had a group of people from Mexico that needed a place to fucking exist. And so,
It's fucking
the government in America said, okay, we're going to put them in El Segundo in Mexico because it's close by. But then the surrounding cities in Texas were like, why? We wanted El Segundo. We're not even willing to give them even just El Segundo. So we're going to attack. And these people who were immigrants from Mexico, they won.
Yeah.
So they win more land. And so then the surrounding city from that is upset, so they attack again, they lost, so they win more land. Eventually, the Mexicans take over all of Texas. Is it the Mexicans' fault?
no.
But is it the Texans' fault? No. So it's not so black and white. I think the issue would have never been an issue if the UK would have taken this Jewish problem and just let them live in the UK.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the craziest thing to have asked, but they didn't want them. So you cannot blame anybody in the mandate of Palestine for not wanting them either.
No, for sure. No, for sure.
But are they to blame? Is this an issue of colonization? No, it's more so an issue of war, winning versus losing, winning versus losing land.
I think the same thing's happening with the India thing. Like, have you guys seen like India, Pakistan with Kashmir?
Yeah.
They've been fighting about that north area for the longest fucking time.
Yeah.
But like they want, like on the maps you will see it too. You'll be like, oh, this belongs to us. Like India will be like, this belongs to us, but the Pakistan will be like, no, this belongs to us. They have two different maps or some shit.
And it happens, but like the other thing is like I'll see American people who will justify any attack if it's done by a Palestinian and terrorize any attack that's done by an Israeli. That's fine. But then they'll defend the Palestinians in a way that insults them also by saying, well, they're less educated. What do you expect? And I'm like, bruh, the fuck that I don't stand for that either. And I'm like, you can't, like, Do you get what I mean? The Palestinians, they are educated people. They have an amazing university there that you can actually do a study abroad program in through OSU back in the day. I don't know if people know this, but the West Bank actually has the only Krusty Krab in the world. Like there's, I don't know. It's
place?
yeah, like from SpongeBob, the Krusty Krab. Yeah, it's amazing. So, like I said, the Palestinian people have such a good political standing.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
He's
Pour one out for your
He's
friends.
a
Keep going.
You're fine. The Palestinian people have such a good political standing, and it would be amazing if they were able or allowed to fight with diplomacy. But they aren't. But the reason they're not allowed to fight with diplomacy is not because of Israel, but it's because of those who oppress them at the time, which currently it is Hamas. Okay? So I state very
Hamas because
Yeah.
Hamas is suppressing them.
Yeah, I state very strongly that Hamas does not speak for the Palestinian people.
Okay, so that's
Okay.
that's what's been having me. It's like
I've met a lot of pro-Israel people.
Hamas
for
is
that.
like representing Palestine.
Please do
It's
not. No, because I've met a lot of people who are pro Israel because they view the Palestinian people the same way they view Hamas, which is not right and that is not fair. I don't believe Hamas is the voice of the Palestinian people, and the Palestinian people are very educated people. They have a beautiful could-be country, and they would have such great political arguments if they were allowed to lead with diplomacy. But the reason they are not allowed to lead with diplomacy is not Israel, it is their own militia that oppresses them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, for example, I have a Palestinian friend, hey, shout out, and she, right, she had a business, right? And because she is female, the military, which we can refer to as Hamas, taxes her 10 times more than any male-run business.
What the fuck?
Like if you want to take Afghanistan, for example, that's a country that really does oppress their women. So Hamas leads with a similar oppression towards women. So my friend will get taxed exponentially for being female. Like the rights given, I have Palestinian female friends, to make it short and sweet, that fear for a time when Palestine stands as a standalone state for the rights they might not be given. Does that make sense? They fear for a time where if Palestine stood as its own country, the rights that would be taken from them.
Okay, so right now, like Palestine, they're like, you guys can be as you like equal
because
like
Israel,
yeah,
controls over the entirety of the state, and they would not allow for certain oppressions towards women.
Oh, okay.
But you know, that's not to say for a fact that if Palestinians were allowed to rule over themselves and govern over themselves with diplomacy, that they would choose that lifestyle. I don't believe they would.
No.
Okay, and I don't believe it's the majority of the people who even support any of this.
No,
so
there's Arab countries where women own businesses, right?
yes,
For sure.
So the biggest oppressor of the Palestinian people, in my opinion, is Hamas. So you'll see over the years, keep it short and sweet, there will be articles like Israel cuts the water they provide to the West Bank or Gaza Strip. So they'll do this as retaliation. So like, let's say, for example, Haifa was bombed like 400 times in 1 year.
What is it?
Yeah, sorry, it is a city. They're bombed from whether it's Gaza or West Bank like some 400 times. Luckily, thanks to advancement in military technology from Israel, none of the missiles land, right? Because you detect them.
Iron Dome.
Yeah.
You taught me the
So just the fact that the missiles didn't land doesn't take away from the fact that you attacked this many times,
Oh
right?
yeah, that shit was wild.
So Israel, with their advanced military technology, can go in and see where they're attacking from. They attack from on top of hospitals, from on top of schools, so that when the IDF retaliates, now Israel is bombing a hospital.
Right.
Or now Israel's bombing a school. But so what
That's what looks good on fucking media channels.
these militaries are very, very smart. But if you think for one moment the Palestinian people want a missile to be built for firing from on top of their children's school, you're wrong. They don't want this. That's not the Palestinian people. If you think for one moment the Palestinian people want bombs to be set off from on top of a hospital that they need for their care, you're wrong. They don't want that. That's not the Palestinian people.
Yeah.
They don't want that at all. They want to just they want to fucking just live in peace.
They're under a fucking gun at this point. They're like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, bitch, I'm gonna be on your roof. You haven't locked me.
Hamas has built tunnels from underneath people's houses that go into Israel to be able to attack. That's one huge thing they do, and you'll see the tunnels that the IDF is trying to find and things like that all over the media. So if you think for one moment as a Palestinian family, you have your husband, you have your kids, you're sitting in your home, you think for one moment that you want a tunnel to be built under your house, knowing that the IDF will come find the tunnel and attack, you're wrong. They don't want that. But do you think they can say no to Hamas? They can't. They can't say no. You know, but you have to be careful about what you see on the media. For example, there was a point in time where stabbings were happening. That was the thing. So people will come into Israel from Gaza or from the West Bank, which they're allowed to do because we allow them, you know. So they'll come in to, let's say, Jerusalem, and they would stab an Israeli. They kill him, they stab him. All right? Now, Israel announced that if you come in to Jerusalem or an Israeli city and you stab someone to death, we will come and flatten your house.
Jesus.
Right? Yeah. Is it an aggressive retaliation? Yes, but you can't lose sight of the fact that it's a retaliation. And you were warned. You don't want your house flattened, don't kill nobody.
Yeah.
Right? And the reason they chose to do that is because even then the Israeli believed that the people that were doing the stabbing had no choice in doing it. That maybe Hamas overtook your house and said, I'm gonna need you to go do this, or I'm gonna kill your husband, or I'm gonna kill your brother, or you know what I mean? And they overtook that person's house and that person had no choice. So Israel, the IDF decided, if you stab somebody, we find where you live, we flatten that house in a hope and in an attempt to get rid of Hamas who could have been overtaking that house. Yeah. So then Hamas has to think twice before overtaking a house because you'll only be able to do business there for a little time, honey. Yeah. Because the IDF is coming.
Right.
But on social media, nobody reports on the fact that that is a retaliation. That is the IDF said, if you stab, we flatten. That first part gets omitted, and all you see on social media is Israelis are flattening Palestinian homes.
They're fucking done, bro. I swear. Newshows are fucking done. They only post shit that people will like watch. It's like they're TikTok basically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're like attention grabbing fuckers.
But at the same time, that's not to say I don't think it's an extreme. I don't think it's an extreme punishment. I do think it's an extreme. You know what I mean? Because not only were the people and you can see it, there's videos of it where somebody will come in and they'll stab an Israeli citizen, the Israeli citizen dies, and instantly, the military is everywhere in Israel. They're everywhere. The military will surround them and tell them, put the knife down, and they won't, and then they kill them. So not only is the person that did the stabbing dead, you know, that alone is a sufficeable punishment. They died. So do I believe it's an extreme retaliation to them flatten their homes? Yes. So do you see how I'm not trying to justify either side? But what you see on the social media is just the Israelis are flattening the home. Nobody gives you a reason why.
You're right.
And if you were, like, for example, if I tell you, hey, if you steal my mail again, I will shoot you in the foot. Is it justified? Yeah.
Walking on my goddamn lawn.
You can't do that.
Can I not? I thought this was America.
No. So if I tell you, hey, if you steal my mail again, my Amazon packages, I'll shoot you in the foot. Is it a justifiable punishment? No, that's too extreme. That's too much of a punishment.
Oh,
but all you have to do,
but
all you have to do to not get shot in the foot is don't steal my packages.
Right.
So, but you don't see the whole side. And Israel not only didn't want the stabbings to continue, they wanted you to know, hey, not only will you most likely die if you murder somebody, but your whole family's going to be out of a home. So think twice.
Wait. So when they fled the house, did they also lose the land?
No.
Okay.
let them keep the land. The Gaza Strip and the West Bank hasn't been shrunken, and Israel has not taken it and called it Israel.
It's just their land.
It's still there. So is the IDF wanted to do this for the sake of, if you don't care about yourself, a lot of them don't care, like the ones that committed the act of terror go into it knowing they will die, right? So what's going to stop them if they don't care about dying? What's going to stop them is think about your family. If you come in, what?
Is this a jihad thing that they're doing?
Yeah, a lot of these people believe if they kill an Israeli or if they kill a Christian or a Catholic, they go straight to heaven. But that's neither here nor there. So the bottom line is the IDF believed, since these people don't care about dying, how we're going to stop them from continuing to do it is because they must love their family. So if we say that if you come and kill somebody and your family's out of a home, yeah, you don't care about yourself, but maybe you care about your family, and so you won't do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is it justified? I don't believe so.
See what you're saying.
But is it anything other than a retaliation? It is not. So we can't.
Yeah.
You can't cover the sky with your hand.
Right.
So do I think there's wrong on both sides? I do. But like I said, my issue is I'm pro-Palestine, I'm pro-Israel. And I think the Palestinian people, unlike how even their supporters make them out to be, are not savages. They are educated, they have a right to their land, and they can fight with diplomacy if they were allowed to.
Not with terrorism.
And
it's not Palestinians fighting with terrorism.
No Palestinians wanted October 7th.
Yeah. It's the Hamas that's like the military.
Yes. So basically, thus far, we have covered kind of how the current land of Israel and the current land of Palestine has come to be, a very Spark Notes version of it. I'd also like to apologize because I mixed up the Arab-Israeli war that was in the 60s, 1967, and the Yom Kippur War, which was 1970s.
Oh, you mixed up the years?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so the Yom Kippur War was in the 1970s, 1973, and the Arab-Israeli War was in the 60s. My history teacher...
Y'all better not be tight asses about that.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, if my history teacher could see me right now, she would slap me. Slicha, please don't. I did pass that class, but dates have never been my forte. But yeah, Yom Kippur War was in the 70s. The Arab-Israeli War was in the 60s. I'm so scared of her. She was strict. But that's kind of a rough draft. Huh?
Where do we leave off?
Oh yeah, so that was basically the rough draft of like things you've seen kind of in the social media and how historically Israel has gained the majority of its land and how the Palestinian people have their current land, and then also what oppression is taking place in the land. Now, if we want to go into the current war and what's happening currently, we can do a part 2 because there's a lot of important people that I believe everybody should look into on both sides. So I think a very important advocate that people should follow is the president. I don't know if you want to call it president, like the head of the Palestinian Red Crescent Logistics.
Red Crescent?
They're in charge of basic aid for like that the Palestinians receive. They kind of keep track of the aid that's received. And the current like leader of that organization, I'm going to say it slow for anybody who's American and wants to kind of look him up, is Mohammed Abu al-Atta. Mohammed Abu al-Atta. And I think he's a very important person. So if you're interested in a part 2 about what's currently happening in this war between Palestine and Israel, I'd love to delve into that more.
Also, I think earlier you were saying, what was it? Hamas is using children to get money from the Western countries.
Yes, so there's a part, there's a part in the IDF who is in their, one of their many trees, that they legally have to warn people in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip about any bombing that comes to take place. So they released leaflets into Gaza, informing them they always release it with the Israeli military logo so that they know it's coming from the IDF about when there will be a bombing. So the IDF always informs people of when there will be a bombing, so they know, and has informed them to move south. So they informed them to move south so that civilians don't die, because the IDF is in search of Hamas and Hamas only. So does that ruin their chances of finding Hamas? Because Hamas can also see these leaflets? Yes, but the IDF always does so. So they do it through calls, or like through like letting people know through their homes by receiving calls or messages, or they release through air leaflets to inform people of every possible bombing so that civilians don't die. Now, whether or not Hamas allows the people to leave is completely different. Because if Hamas does not allow the people to leave and the people die, now the IDF is killing civilians, and people from around the world will start raising money to assist civilians.
I'm seeing this throughout the world, like India, America. I'm sure it's in other countries as well.
People will raise money to assist the civilians, and they'll make millions. They will make millions.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Last week I sent a fucking email. Like, I sent it to a group chat. I sent an email to the senators, like, oh, this is an easy way to fucking... And it was through a friend that I thought, like, was pretty smart. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And...
Yeah, so people, because they should care about civilians, will raise millions of dollars and send it to Palestine. Does it go to Palestinians, though?
We never know. That's why I don't send money to nobody.
The likelihood of it going to Hamas is very high. But the bottom line is the IDF does inform civilians of the bombings so that the civilians could move and not be harmed in these bombings. Also, they opened the border so the civilians could leave. So the reality of Israel trapping people in this land and then bombing them becomes less of a reality. Especially, like, if I told you I am going to come to your house and kick your ass at 5 p.m. tomorrow.
But the fucking...
Are you going to be home at 5 p.m. tomorrow?
Nah. If you come in with a bazooka, I'm leaving, bro.
So the IDF informs through the leaflets, which they have to do, and they put the military logo on it so that you know it's coming from the IDF. But whether or not the people were allowed to move, the IDF has no control over. Did Hamas allow these people to leave? No, because it looks better, and the IDF look worse when civilians die. Now, does that mean that Hamas is willing to have hundreds of thousands of Palestinians die? Yes.
Like, yeah.
So, is the real oppressor Israel, or is the real oppressor Hamas?
Yeah, it's not.
That's the question. That's the question of the hour.
I think what's happening is, like, people are seeing Hamas represent Palestine, like, in a good way, but that's not what's happening. Hamas is, like, the military power that's controlling Palestine and its people, and they want something different from the Palestinian people. Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm not the best with dates, but, like, I'm pretty sure you could look it up. On October, I think, 22nd, the biggest strikes were happening, and so the IDF had to strike because I'm going to call it America on this. America is the leaders of this. When we get attacked in any way, shape, or form, you retaliate, right?
Sure.
So, we flattened Afghanistan in search of Osama bin Laden because of September 11th. Nobody was saying, let's raise money to give to people from Afghanistan. You know, if you attack, America retaliates tenfold. Not only do they obliterate you historically, they make sure you can never rebuild. That's why we still send people to be stationed at places we're no longer at war with, to make sure you don't think about it again. Mm-hmm. But when Israel goes to retaliate, it's like, hey, whoa. Couldn't you have just count your losses? Come on.
Money already?
Yeah, relax, okay? Don't retaliate. So, like, the bottom line is, in October, the IDF does what they usually do. They release their leaflets to inform the civilians. Whether or not the civilians are allowed to move has nothing to do with the IDF. That has to do with Hamas. Hamas is oppressing their people, and it doesn't do the Palestinians any benefit to believe, for outsiders to believe that Hamas is helping Palestinians. They are not. And I believe the Palestinian people deserve to be helped.
No, for sure.
So do not support Hamas in belief that that helps the Palestinian people.
Palestinian people need to be helped in a way to get rid of Hamas.
They deserve a lot of things.
Military power.
100%.
They need the fucking democracy or whatever.
They deserve a land. They deserve peace. They deserve a lot of things that Hamas is oppressing them from. And if people believe Hamas does more damage to Israel than it does to Palestine, you're wrong. Hamas does way more damage to the Palestinian people than it can ever do to Israel. What can it really do to Israel? Israel is so strong.
Right. See, this is what I've been trying to figure out. All this information. I mean, I know my friends might not know all this shit, but this, like, last weekend at a party, I'm like, I know it was a party, but it was almost like at the end of the party. I'm like, guys, can we talk about something? You know, like, I haven't had nobody to talk about it for like the whole month.
And if you don't get educated, how would you?
Like, I don't have nobody else to talk about it, you know? Like, I didn't know anybody.
Well, if you want to take anything with you in this part one, is that the Palestinians are not the bad guys. The Israelis are not the bad guys. It's not as black and white as you'd like it to be. And between the Palestinians and the Israelis, as civilians and as people, we have had peace. And we have love for each other. And we have friends on each side.
There's bad actors, that's the only thing.
Yeah. Now, the people that stand to suffer the most after October 7th were not the 1,300 plus that were murdered, that were Israeli. From the beginning, the moment I saw that happen, the moment my Palestinian friends saw that happen, we both said, we both knew Palestine is going to suffer. Because Israel has to retaliate. There is no reality in this world where any human being should see that attack happen and say, Israel should have counted their losses and just said, oh, let's just bury them. And those 200 you took, we won't look for them.
Yeah.
Even Hamas knew that wasn't going to happen. That's why they took the people.
Yeah.
So Palestine and Israelis in that moment said, this is going to be bad for Palestine. And the majority of Palestinian civilians aren't as anti-Israel as the people I'm encountering that have nothing to do with either side. And the Israelis aren't anti-Palestine as some people I'm encountering that have nothing to do with either side. So I'm saying, don't pick a side. If you want peace, you have to want to have both sides existing. So you can't defund either side, hope to see either side not exist. And I see people change their profile pictures to a picture of Israel saying, shut it down for Palestine. If you want Israel to not exist, then you don't want peace.
Yeah.
Because it takes two sides to have peace between. If you want Palestine to not exist, you don't want peace. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, on a more important topic,
What's that?
have you ever dealt with bad kissers?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, good.
Listen.
Now onto the real stress, the real important shit. Okay.
I kiss other people, so I can't say.
That's not.
Okay. Well, as for us, yes. Okay. So for me personally, I have this person who I call the mouth cleaner.
Okay.
Girl, when I tell you he tongue punched the dangly bit in the back of my throat.
Nuh-uh.
Cardi B.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, I felt, yes, like it felt like he was doing a dental inspection of all my teeth with his tongue.
Nah.
I was like, they all there, bitch.
No way.
Wait, do I have to?
You exaggerate.
No.
You exaggerate.
Don't have one night stands, guys. Anywho, it wouldn't have been a one night stand if he wasn't such a terrible kisser. When I tell you, like, the head movement was so much, the tongue movement was so much, that he actually smeared my glasses.
Honey,
that's too much.
and it's weird because like I don't really know how I learned where to kiss. I just kind of
Your hand.
It did take some practice.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess so, but like I kind of like learned like, oh, it's not just like a fish suction cup. Like I usually go for like the upper lip or the lower lip. I like the upper lip.
Upper lip. Oh, you just
Girl.
Well, like it goes into like this weird.
Girl.
It's like it's almost like I don't know how to say it. It's like stroking with your tongue and then kind of like it's just this whole like thing.
It's a dance. It's a dance.
Yeah.
Have you ever had somebody walk in on you while you're practicing kissing?
I've never practiced kissing.
Yeah.
Girl, I was about to say. I was waiting for you to be like, yeah, girl, my mom walked in on me. And I was like, there's no way she'd be mad at you and your brother.
Oh, my dog busted in on me while I was.
Wait, who busted in on you?
I was tripping.
Okay.
Wait,
That's
so
not
you've
cat all the
never
time.
wait, so then if you've never encountered a bad kisser, are you a good or a bad kisser?
Are you the bad kisser? What?
What?
It's like not a lot of people, like 3-4 people. I don't know.
How are we gonna find out?
Easy. Here's what I think we should do. Pick like 3 people you've kissed, message them and ask them, hey, now that we're not a thing, be real with me. Am I a good or a bad kisser? And when they're not with you anymore, honey, they're gonna let
I'm
you
not in
know.
contact with any of them either.
Ooh, that tells us it ended well, huh, honey?
Oh, I think we got our answer right there.
That said it all.
Wait, that's not the truth because that's not the truth.
That's not
That's
the
not
truth.
the truth.
That is the lie.
That's
I
not
know
the
him,
truth.
but like, we're not friends. You know,
No.
I'm not gonna text.
I was gonna say it's not true that he's a bad kisser because he's not in contact with him anymore because one of the people that he was hooking up with like bragged about him.
Nah.
Oh my God,
But
look
not
at
about his
you.
mouth.
Okay.
Nah, also, I don't believe that. See, I don't know. He might be just.
He wrote the Yelp review himself.
Sometimes he
Mama.
might be pumping me up. I don't
Mama.
know.
Mama.
Honey, I said, oh, okay. I'll take
See,
it.
no, I feel like,
He might be hyping me up.
No.
I don't
No, I literally, that's what I heard.
I think if you want to be a kisser, do less. Whatever you're picturing,
Oh, I do less.
do less.
Okay.
Mhm.
You know, like less handsy. You know, you don't gotta feel every vertebrae in my spine. You know, when in doubt, do less.
Mhm.
When in doubt, pull out.
Like.
Oh, no. My mom said, never mind.
You right.
I was
though.
gonna say, my mama told me to.
Mama? Yeah.
Let's do one more topic.
I
Let's
just
do one more
think, like,
topic.
at work and stuff, where I'll just be like, my mom taught me 2 things.
What is it?
Always wear your seatbelt in the vehicle and never spit.
Oh.
Spit?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh, like cum?
Yeah. No.
Don't
See,
say it like that.
my mama told me tequila gets you pregnant, and now I have to wonder which one of my siblings is tequila.
Wait,
Let's do one more. Let's do one more topic after this.
Okay. People that flake.
Yeah. What you have about that?
Or we could talk about talking politics with friends because that could be your like clip that you ease into. Don't talk politics with friends. That being said, hello strangers.
So we're
This is
not-
your warning.
Yeah, we're not friends at all.
We're going into politics.
No, because I tried talking to my friends about politics last weekend and nobody wanted to talk, man. I was like, I don't know if they didn't know the information or like if they were scared to be like, oh, they will judge me, you know, and like
I think they don't want to get into an argument.
you
know,
don't wanna get into an
They're
argument.
worried about losing friends. So like,
No, but like we've been friends for fucking 3-4 years. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna get in an argument about politics. You know what I'm saying?
you'd be
I tried
surprised.
to tell him. I said people unfriend each other on Facebook, block each other, family members don't.
For
talk
people have
to each other.
known each other longer. So like, my advice is don't talk politics with friends, like I said. But you know, that being said, we will be going into politics. So
Right. I don't
we're
know
strangers.
her.
Nah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I understand why people say don't talk politics with friends because there's some people like you who are like,
Talk
okay,
personal shit, like if you have something happening in the world, but just don't talk politics.
yes, because people have their beliefs and we're currently at a point in time where it's very hard for us to have our beliefs and not be upset with people who don't have the same belief.
Yeah.
And I think like I always say this is that the best way to change somebody's mind is to have them experience whatever for themselves.
Yes.
We can sit here and argue and talk about why you should believe what I believe and why I should believe what you believe.
Yes.
But until whatever soul is telling me happens to me or gives me an actual reason personally in an experience, I'm not going to believe what she's telling me.
I agree with Zell in the sense of like when I lived in California, everybody's ready for like a fight, to fight for some rights, to fight for some group of people, to fight for what they believe. In the Midwest, we kind of keep to ourselves a little more. And that's because we encounter more people who are closed-minded. And I think this is actually a little bit of a benefit because you learn that your racist neighbor isn't racist because he's uneducated. Whatever you want to tell to your racist neighbor or your homophobic neighbor, they've heard it before. They've heard it before. Yep. They believe what they believe because they want to. So really, at a certain point, you're wasting your breath in trying to convince other people to change their mind or their standing because they've heard it before. They've heard what you have to say. And that's why I stay quiet on certain political views, because that's just my belief. And you believe what you believe regardless.
It's easier to just...
Until you experience it. Yes, cool.
All right. On that note, we're gonna end our podcast because our fucking cameras are not dealing with us today.
Yeah. Moving camera.
Come on. This is our host,
Zell.
Thank you to our guests.
Soul, hi.
It's great having you, Soul.
Thank you.
And if you can see me, you can see me. If not, I don't care, man.
Hey,
I'm Smith. We'll catch you on the next one.